Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here to present SB 1185. Started with a casual conversation with the mayor of my city. We were just chatting. He had remodeled his home and did a really nice job, and we were sort of chit-chatting, and he said, yeah, one thing I did that I'm really happy with was that I installed a generator when I rebuilt the house. And I got a gas generator. I just hooked it up to the gas line. And Southern California Edison had a power outage kind of planned, but it went for like 8 hours into the evening. And my generator kicks in, and I'm the only house in the whole neighborhood that's lit up. And I thought, oh my goodness, what a, just a simple idea of having, so I started looking it up. There's no one within 6 feet of me, so I'm going to just take this off. I started looking it up online. How do I get a generator? And sure enough, there's natural gas generators and made by the same company out of Wisconsin. Even looked up their stock price and how generators must really be generating a lot of revenues for these companies because of what's happening in California. And sure enough, there's just been a lot of activity. So I started working on it for my home, and it's a big deal. It's not a cheap item, but in an emergency, this would be great for my family. And I thought, well, wait a second, what about what's going on in our state with PSPS, and how would this be helpful? And so that, Mr. Chair, was the sort of the beginning of this journey on this particular bill. We have the technology available, and we certainly have seen these generators sell well, but we also need them for businesses. I was reading the paper last fall that Trader Joe's was trying to give away all their frozen food because they couldn't keep the freezers going. And you just kind of start feeling for all these businesses up and down the state that are in WUI zones. I'm used to having backup generators at the county, big diesel engines ready to go. But this bill is not designed to say, hey, let's eliminate what's there, but if you're moving forward to remodeling or working on something new, then you should be at least looking at natural gas. So with that, Mr. Chair, we started this effort seeking to promote the natural gas, which I think is an obvious form of fueling backup generation. Natural gas is cleaner than diesel fuel, and you've debated that. In most cases, is available through existing natural gas infrastructure. You just hook right up to the utility, and that avoids having to truck or transport large amounts of diesel fuel, which would be extremely awkward during a fire situation or condition, let alone having to store it at all times, being of its flammable nature. Currently drafted, SB 1185 will ensure that when emergency variances are issued, there is consideration given to the technology utilized for backup generation. In doing so, we hope that emergency variances are granted rapidly and with ease to operators of natural gas backup generators. SB 1185 would not prohibit facilities that currently utilize diesel generators from continuing to operate. The key standard in this bill is available power source. In applying for an emergency variance, it is not mandated in this bill that a facility operator switch to natural gas or other forms of generation. This bill is intended to ease the issuance of emergency variances, particularly for natural gas, not burden the issuance of permits for those utilizing diesel. The latest version of the bill is far from where we started. After working tirelessly with your committee, we came to an agreement that emergency variances are the best avenue for facilities to go through in seeking to maintain operations during PSPS events. The bill is not perfect, but it's a start. Given the shortened timeline we are operating under and the constantly evolving nature of other backup generator bills in the legislature, we only arrived at this version of the measure this past week. I am asking for your aye vote so that we can continue this conversation and further work on this bill to ensure that emergency variances are granted during PSPS events and that natural gas remains part of the answer to this issue. My staff worked tirelessly with the committee to keep a version of this bill alive so that natural gas backup generation and now emergency variances can continue to be a piece of the backup generator conversation. In fact, the current language of the bill is directly from the committee consultants, and I'm very grateful, Mr. Chair, for all their hard work assisting my staff. I ask this committee to move the bill so that we can continue to work on this issue. And I have one witness, I believe, on the line, Bernie Orozco with the California Cable and Telecommunications Association, to speak on behalf of the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chair and colleagues.
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's first hear, let's hear from Bernie as your support witness. He's on the public line.
In this case, you ask the moderator to find them if they called it in the public line.
Oh, okay, moderator. We're looking for Bernie Orozco from the Cable Telecommunications Association, and sure, apparently it's on the public line.
Mr. Orozco, if you are on the line, please press 1 then 0. 1 then 0, sir. One moment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Justin.
We're just checking to see if he is, we have someone on the line. We're just checking to see if that's them. One moment. Okay. And Mr. Orozco, your line is open, sir.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, members. Bernie Orozco with the California Cable and Telecommunications Association, speaking today in support of SB 1185. In the wake of the increased wildfires in California, and more recently the authorization by the legislature and the Public Utilities Commission for electric utilities to shut off power, CCTA has been actively engaged with policymakers in trying to ensure how we can keep connectivity for critical communication facilities during these public safety power shutoffs. We are very supportive of SB 1185 as it was initially introduced, but we want to continue to work with the senator and with the legislature on how to ensure that we are able to continue to use our generators when the power goes off to keep communications running. Great discussion on the previous bill. I know we talked about balance, we talked about tension, and there is a little bit of that. The cable industry has 50,000 different key facilities that need to be up and running during a power shutoff statewide. In the recent Northern California situation, when the power was shut off for several days, it would have required 15,000 individual portable generators to keep those facilities up and running. But to Senator Wachowski's point about balance, we realize that we cannot keep the entire facility up and running. So we're working with Senator McGuire on SB 431 to figure out what are the key facilities that we should keep operating during that time. But the use of backup generators is key to that. The Senate Energy Committee on January 8th had a hearing on this, and the one takeaway we had from that hearing is that communications requires commercial power. So we're supportive of the bill moving forward, and as we are with 1099, we hope that we can get to a better place, but here in support today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orozco. Okay,
Yes,
let's now open up. Well, first of all, I don't believe we have anyone here in 4203 who would like to voice support for the bill. We can go look at the lonely room 2040. On the line, anyone on the line who would like to voice support?
Chairman Allen, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Chairman. This is Wayne Nastri. I'm the Executive Officer of the South Coast.
No, Mr. Nastri, it's my understanding you're in opposition?
We're removing our opposition for purposes of this committee. We're reviewing the amendments, and as Senator Moorlach said, there's been a lot of work on this. So for purposes of the committee, we're removing our opposition. We're still in the process of reviewing the impacts, and we're definitely working with the author's office, and we will remain engaged on this whole effort.
Well, we really appreciate that, Mr. Nastri, and we certainly absolutely encourage you to work with the author's office, also encourage you to work with the committee's office. We, as I think you know, we certainly, as a committee, very much share your core concerns about air quality and air quality protection. So let's work together on this moving forward. Thank you, but thank you for your understanding of what we did with the amendments.
Thank you, and thank you for your committee staff and everyone for continuing to work on this.
Okay, all right. Other folks who want to voice support for the bill? No?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to support SB 1185, please press 1 then 0. Once again, if you wish to support SB 1185, please press 1 then 0 now. In one moment, Mr. Chairman. Line 118, your line is open. Please go ahead. Line 118, your line is open. Please go ahead. Thank you. In line 186, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Michael Daft with the Prey and McKaylee on behalf of Republic Services. We are in support, if amended, on this measure and have submitted a letter outlining our amendments to the committee. We look forward to working with the author. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. In line 166, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, it's John Kennedy with the Rural County Representatives of California. We don't have an official position yet because the bill was recently amended and we're carefully reviewing those amendments. As currently drafted, we do have some very major concerns. The bill will preclude our ability to obtain emergency variances for continued operation of critical facilities and infrastructure. We don't believe that this is the author's intent, but we think that's the operation of the language in the bill. And so we look forward to working with him to avoid these problems as the bill moves forward.
Thank you. In line 57, your line is open. Please go ahead. Line 57, maybe you're on mute. Line 77, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Melissa Warner on behalf of the California Water Association in support. Thank you.
Thank you. In line 118, your line is open. Please go ahead. Line 118, maybe you're muted. Please go ahead. Line 119, your line is open. Please go ahead. Maybe your line is on mute.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. Ronnie Berduo here on behalf of the California Hospital Association. Want to align our comments with that of John Kennedy from RCRC. We don't have a formal position on the bill at the moment, but do look forward to working with Senator Moorlach and his staff on this bill moving forward. Thank you.
Line 57, your line is open. Please go ahead. Maybe your line's on mute. Line 57, your line is open. And Mr. Chairman, we have no one else in queue.
Okay, thank you so much. One last final call for folks who want to testify.
Okay, we do have line 118. Your line is open, line 118.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, I wasn't told the line. Hi, Alyssa Silhai on behalf of the California Special Districts Association. We had a support and concept position on this bill prior to these amendments and are currently vetting the new language. We support the goal of this bill, but do anticipate concerns with potential impact on maintaining critical infrastructure and essential services during de-energization events. We've communicated these concerns to the author's office and really appreciate their commitment to work together with us to find solutions as the bill moves forward. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
No, Mr. Chairman, that was all.
Okay, there we are. So now, I guess, so with, now I had Mr. Nastri down as an opposition witness. I mean, are we hearing from, well, do we have anyone who's now signed on as an opposition witness? Philip Krabby from South Coast AQMD, or Barbara Baird, or Brendan, or you guys are kind of tweeners?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Brendan Tuig on behalf of the California Air Pollution Control Officers Association. We still have an opposed position. We think the way the bill is currently drafted, it could actually take longer to get an emergency variance related to an emergency event. So again, we're sensitive to emergencies and want to make sure that essential services providers are able to provide backup power during PSPS events and other emergencies. And this language does raise some question about the ability to do that.
Okay. All right. Hopefully we can get that addressed. Anyone else? Any other folks who want to raise concerns about the bill? I don't see any here in this room. 2040, I assume is still empty and lonely. Yes, it is. On the line, Madam Moderator, anyone we have in queue?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to speak in opposition of SB 1185, please press 1, then 0. Once again, if you wish to speak in opposition of SB 1185, that's 1, then 0 now. In one moment, Mr. Chairman.
It's my understanding that Barbara Baird is still online. Is that right?
Hello?
Yes, line number 174. Yes, she is. Barbara Baird is online. Her line is open.
Okay.
Yes, I'm with South Coast, and my opposition, as you heard from Mr. Nastri, is withdrawn.
Okay, thank you so much.
In line number 174, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Yes, this is Alan Abbs with the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. We're in the same position as the South Coast AQMD. We appreciate the work that the Senator and his staff have done to address original concerns. The Bay Area AQMD was originally in opposition, but we're temporarily removing that while we look at the new language, but we're hopeful we can work something out moving forward. Thanks.
Okay, that's hopeful. Anyone else, Madam Moderator?
Yes, line 121, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry, having some problems. This is Lauren Collins with Sierra Club, California. We are still in opposition to this bill. Burning methane gas for backup power still emits pollutants into the air and atmosphere. Methane gas generation produces nitrogen oxides, and this leads to respiratory problems and other adverse health impacts. Methane is a greenhouse gas. It's about 87 times more potent than carbon dioxide. So although a better option than diesel, methane gas is still a highly polluting fossil fuel, and we have problems with it being written in the law in our health and safety code to suggest that it's a suitable, i.e. cleaning option, especially when there are non-polluting clean technologies available to provide emergency backup power. Thank you.
Okay. Others?
And Mr. Chairman, there is no one else in queue.
Okay, final call for folks who want to weigh in on either side of this on the line. Okay. Hearing none, let's go back to the committee. We very much appreciate your presentation, Mr. Senator. Obviously, there's some late amendments, and so some of the opposition is flipped, which is good. I think we're getting closer, but I also understand, as you mentioned, there's still some work to be done, and hopefully we can figure this all out. So, questions from the committee? Thoughts, concerns, issues?
Happy to move the bill, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Senator Hill. Senator Moorlach?
I object. That moved by Hertzberg. No, he can have it.
All right, Senator Moorlach, you may close.
Thank you, Senator. I'm happy to be presenting the last bill of the last day of this week. So thanks for the honor. It's been interesting to be in these sessions, and the biggest question that's been asked is, can you hear me? So it's been kind of an interesting week, but I want to thank you colleagues for reviewing the bill. I think this is a right way to go, and it should be put in the state code, and I will be working closely with RCRC. It's an organization I highly regard and respect, and the others, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to do so. So Senator Allen, Mr. Chair, thank you for this opportunity, and I respectfully request an aye vote.
Probably not. Okay, it's been moved by Senator Hilberg, and Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators, please turn on your mics. Item number 7, SB 1185 by Senator Moorlach. The motion is due pass to the Senate Appropriations Committee. Allen. Allen?
Aye.
Allen, aye. Dolly? Hertzberg?
Aye.
Hertzberg, aye. Hill?
Aye.
Hill, aye. McGuire? Wachowski?
Aye.
Wachowski, aye.
Okay, so we will leave the roll open for Senator McGuire to return. Let's open the roll. Thank you so much, Senator Moorlach. We appreciate you.